What's going on, everyone? So, Scream 7. Supposed to be very centered around Sidney Prescott, supposed to follow her and her family. And what do we know about her family so far? Very little, right? We know that she's married to Mark Kincaid, right? In Scream 5, it was relayed to us. She's married to Mark. Dewey, hey, how's Mark? Nev Campbell herself, in an interview, later confirmed that she, yes, is indeed married to Mark Kincaid, Patrick Dempsey from Scream 3. And she even relayed in that interview that it's weird because they played brother and sister at some point, but that's the reality, right? We also know that she has more than 2 kids, right? How do we know that? Again, Scream 5, little clues. See her pushing a stroller of a young child, and then she says, I need to take the girls to school. Now, a lot of people interpret that as she has twins. Doesn't necessarily mean she has twins, right? A lot of people interpret that as she has 3 kids, right? And even if you look it up, how many kids Sidney has, it says 3. There's no confirmation that there's 3. We just see the one in the stroller, and then she says, I have to take my girls to school. Girls, meaning plural, could be 2, could be 3, could be 5. But chances are it's probably 3. Probably is 2 girls and a boy, right? Again, just kind of going off of what we know and what's kind of speculation, right? Again, a lot of people think that means it's twins. Doesn't mean it's twins, right? If you're somebody that has multiple daughters, different ages, how do you refer to them? Girls, right? I do the same thing. I have multiple daughters, all different ages. When I'm talking to somebody and relaying, I just go, yeah, my girls. Doesn't mean that they're all twins, right? It just means that, you have more than one daughter. Girls. So, just for clarification. Now, the other question is, how old are her children? Now, they can essentially be however old they need for the plot. Because, now, not all of them. Obviously, the one in the stroller, probably at most, maybe 7 or 8. Right? If it has a bit of a time jump, maybe they could get it as much as 10, something like that. But, you got to figure child was in the stroller. Let's say at most is probably 3, 4 in that range. Probably not even that old, but let's just give the benefit of the doubt, say 3 or 4. And it's been since Scream 5. By the time this movie comes out, you're talking another 3, 4 years. So you're talking, you could essentially maybe get the child to 8 to 10, but realistically it's probably 7 range in that ballpark. Now the other girls is where you can essentially have them be whatever age you need. So when Sidney and Mark got together was in Scream 3. That was 2000. That was the year 2000. That was 25 years ago by the time this movie comes out. Right? So, essentially, you can have that child be up to 24 years old. And that's not counting if they do a time jump like is kind of rumored, right? So, you're talking about the child could be 23, 24, potentially even 25. Now, I don't necessarily think that they would do that. Chances are, probably going to be something like, her child will probably be around the age in which Sidney was when Sidney was first attacked, right? So my guess, she's probably a teenager. They'll probably have something along the lines, if they even explain it, but it's probably something like, Mark and Sidney got together, they met each other, they fell in love, he was there for her, he supported her, yada yada, right? And then, they probably had kids before the events of Scream 4 type thing. So before 2011. So maybe they dated for 4 years, had kids in 24, and the kid is, 20, 19, something like that, right? That could be the range. Even if you had the kid, well, because if she had the kid, let's say, before the events of Scream 4, Scream 4 was 2011. So you could say maybe she had the kid in 2009 and the kid's 16, right? So you could even do that. You could even say her first kid, or you could have one kid be 16, one kid be 20, 22, 23, right? Because I've talked about in previous videos, there's supposed to be something that happens. Again, it's all rumor, so take it with a very big grain of salt, right? Nothing's true until it's true, right? Everything's speculation till then. But there is a lot of just rumor going around that there will be a significant death or something that impacts Sidney Prescott in a way that kind of ruins the mental. And one of the things that I talked about was, would they really kill one of Sidney's kids? I think more likely it's probably Mark Kincaid. Is it also possible that they kill one of Sidney's kids, but it's not a kid? It's somebody it's her daughter that's 20 or her daughter that's 17 or something like that, right? That would kind of line up. And look, that's what Scream's always done. Gone after the teenagers, right? Gone after the 16, 17, 18-year-olds. That would have the significant impact on Cindy's mental. That would have the significant impact on just the audience and their perspective and all that. So, like, that would be something that could really break down Sidney Prescott. But I just look at this upcoming Scream film, and if it's going to be really focused on Sidney and her family, do you really want Sidney and 4 through 7-year-olds running around trying to, and she's having to fight off Ghostface and carry all 3 of these kids out? Like, it can get a little like, this is tough, right? Like, so to me, I do think that they'll have one of her kids at least, if not multiple of her kids, right? Like I said, maybe the girls she's referring to are both older. Again, doesn't necessarily mean that have to be twins. It also doesn't mean that they're not twins, right? It could possibly be the case. That could be an approach that they go. But it's also harder to find twins, that you need in the age range that you want than just like 2 girls that are just like, hey, you 2 are now Sidney's kids, right? Like, it's easier. So my guess is that it probably will be just 2 girls, and then you'll have the child that was in the stroller that is, 7 or whatever. That one's probably a little guy. And then, you'll have the other 2, or again, maybe it's more. It could be more. It could be as many as they want, right? Again, it is so open-ended. They can essentially go about it any way that they want. They can essentially approach this any way that they like. They can have the kids be whatever age they want, outside of the one in the stroller, like I mentioned. But the ones that she was getting a run in with, or for, or before going and taking them to school, those 2 could be however old they want to be. So they can have whatever age they want for them. They could have as many kids as they want for her. They could set this up and establish this any way imaginable if they want, right? Obviously, again, you want it within reason. You want it to be reasonable, right? My guess is they probably have, like, one will probably be 16, one will probably be, 20, 21, right? That would give them a little time, right? That would give them essentially 4 years, 3-4 years from Scream 3's events in 2000 to the time that they had their first child, right? So it wasn't something like that night after taking down Roman and Ghostface, Sidney gets knocked up. I don't think it's anything like that, right? I think it'll be something where it's like, here's this type of thing, right? So that's my guess. That's how I kind of look at this, is that I think that they'll probably have a kid around Sidney's age when she was being attacked by Ghostface. I think she'll have a kid around Sidney's age when, like she went through the events in Scream 96, and then you kind of follow that up with another child that maybe is around the age she was in college. Like, that could be a fun kind of dynamic there, where you have kind of like a version of Sidney in 96. You have a version of Sidney in Scream 2, which was 98, right? Like, kind of go that route and kind of have this, like, just fun dynamic there. And then you got the little guy who, is like 7 that Sidney and Mark have to, carry out or whatever. Maybe that's how one of her kids end up getting taken out. Maybe that's how Mark gets taken out, right? Maybe, they're all running away. I got to grab whatever the son's name is or other daughter in the stroller, right? Like, oh, I got to grab this bird. Like, take off running and then, oh, no. Oh, like, and then Mark Kincaid goes and boom, that's it. Maybe it's one of her daughters or something. She's got to sit there and watch it and it's too late. And it's like, I can't go save her. I have to take my other kids and I have to take Mark and whatever. Or maybe, like I said, maybe Mark gets stabbed and he gets taken out. And like, what if Sidney and her family is the opening scene, right? Somebody usually dies in the opening scene. Makes sense that you'd have somebody impactful, somebody significant, somebody important that could really hit on that. But all in all, I mean, there's a lot of ways and approach in which they could go. But having all these kids, it'll be interesting to kind of see where do they fall as far as like the age line goes. Kind of fall like where they're at in that range. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass a question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Where do you want Sidney and her kids to be in as far as the age range goes? What is your opinion? Do you want them to be teens? Do you want, one of them to be in their 20s or both in their 20s? Because again, like one could be 24, one could be 22, one could be 19, one could be, again, they could basically slot it however they want. So how do you feel about it? How do you feel? Whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.